Hey everybody, Matt DeBerry, dogpost.com. It is December 9th, and over the weekend when Georgia beat Alabama for their second consecutive SEC championship, I thought that they were going to do the unthinkable. And that's because their defense was elite all game long. There was a minute there in the third quarter where I thought Georgia was going to shut those guys out. Send them back to Tuscaloosa with a big fat goose egg. That's how good Georgia's defense was. We're going to talk more about that and how dominant they were in that game. Yes, I know Alabama was banged up. I get all that. They just did not have enough weapons, and that's on them. They were not the better team. But this is still one of the all-time defensive performances under Kirby Smart at Georgia. And there's a lot of them. This one right up there. In case you forgot, Alabama rushed for -3 yards in the game. They went backwards. The Alabama Crimson Tide. And I know they had running backs banged up. I get all that. But -3 is -3. That was the second fewest yards they've ever rushed for in program history. Just one of the many ways that Georgia dominated this football game. I think Alabama crossed the 50-yard once. They crossed midfield once, maybe twice on their own, but this was all about Georgia's defense. They made enough plays offensively, but it starts with the group that might be playing their best football or the best defense across the country. That's what I'm trying to say. But let's dig into how good they were against Alabama. So the Crimson Tide had 12 total offensive drives. They had 7 punts, 1 interception, 2 turnovers on downs, and the touchdown that Georgia basically handed them. It was in the fourth quarter. And going into that quarter, I'm thinking, Alabama's not going to score. They cannot move the football. They're obviously, can't get anything going on the ground. Ty Simpson is trying to play his heart out, but he's got no one to throw to. None of those guys could create separation. Big shout out again to Ellis Robinson and the secondary. Ja'Cory Thomas was all over the place, but DeMello Jones had the big personal foul that gave them life. It was about to be 3rd and long, and they're about to punt again because they were in 3rd and long all game long. In fact, their average distance on 3rd down was 7.2 yards. 7.2 yards was their average 3rd down on offense. You're not moving the football that way. You're not scoring points that way. And at that point in the game, right before that DeMello Jones personal foul that, again, gave them life, I thought Georgia was going to shut them out and basically end their season. I'm not sure Alabama gets in the 12-team playoff if they lose 28-0 in this game. I really don't know. But Jones also had a pass interference on that drive. So they basically gave Alabama everything they needed to finally get points on the board. Now, they did make a big play to find the end zone, but that was the first time they had given up a touchdown since the third quarter of the Texas game. That was 12 straight quarters where the Georgia defense did not give up a touchdown. And if you go back to the fourth quarter of the Ole Miss game, they have been as elite as any defense across the country. So they've only given up 7 touchdowns over their last 6 games. They've only given up 2 touchdowns in their last 4 games. 2 touchdowns against Mississippi State came in somewhat garbage time when the backups were in. Those don't really count against the first stringers. And then they gave up 20 to the Gators. But it's at all 3 levels right now. The defensive line, they're stopping the run. They're playing with leverage. Kristen Miller, Xavier McLeod, Elijah Griffin, Josh Horton. I mean, they are mixing and matching guys. Guys are coming in all day long. They play so many guys, and it's allowed them to be fresh and do what they do best. So when they're in the game, it's for a specific reason, depending on the down and distance. But that group overall has stayed fresh enough to where those guys can give 100% every single snap they're in the game. And it's working because no one's running on this Georgia defense right now. And as we've said, it's hard to find a better linebacking group across the country. Ohio State's probably up there. Texas Tech has some really good linebackers. Oklahoma. But what C.J. Allen has been doing, especially since it's hard to say he's been 100% in a long, long time. Raylan Wilson flying all over the place. Chris Cole is turning into a superstar. Those guys are making plays in coverage, but they're not missing tackles. They're not missing assignments. Everyone is playing together as a collective unit. And it's hard to find a defense playing better than them right now, especially when you consider they're just not letting teams into the end zone. And when Texas scored their touchdown, I think that made it a 3-point game. So they were still involved, right? It gave them life in the game. When Alabama scored that touchdown, it still felt like the game was over. Like, okay, they're still alive, right? They're still breathing, barely. And then Georgia went over and they stepped on their throat and they rubbed their face in it and they won by 3 touchdowns. That touchdown obviously didn't matter. The game was over. That's how good they are. Kirby said previously, like they just strangle you. They're like a big anaconda. I think that's what he said. And they're a boxer in my eyes. They're throwing punches, and when they can attack the quarterback and make plays behind the line of scrimmage, which they did a decent amount of, they only got to Ty Simpson 3 times. I say only 3 times when you consider that they were not getting to the quarterback at all early in the season, especially when Alabama came to town. You're seeing that part of the defense really turn up. Quintavious Johnson has done a really nice job. Freshman Zayden Walker is proven to be one of the top young pass rushers on the roster. He's making plays in the backfield. It's a lot of different guys. You got freshman Rashawn Dinkins coming in and playing really well at safety. Ja'Cory Thomas has stepped up, but Ellis Robinson, I think, may have made the most improvement from the first game until now. He is playing outstanding. Dalen Everett still making plays in coverage. He is probably, if there's an SEC Championship Hall of Fame, Dalen Everett might be in it down the road. He is that good on that stage. And they're doing it against different offenses too. Alabama is different from Texas and Mississippi State. And, again, Ole Miss absolutely scored on Georgia, but they didn't in the fourth quarter, right? So you talk about probably that was the changing point of the season for the defense when they made those 2 big fourth quarter stops against Ole Miss and helped secure that victory. They played well enough against the Gators to win. They weren't great, but they were outstanding against Texas. Didn't give Charlotte much of anything to do. Georgia Tech's the number 1 total offense coming into that game. Hold them out of the end zone into 9 points, right? And then they came very, very close to what I would say going into the game, and most would say the unthinkable, right? Shutting out Alabama, even with all those injuries. It's still Alabama. It's still a team that beat them. It's still a team that can really score when they get clicking, but they weren't clicking at all on the ground all season long. You knew Alabama could not run the ball. They went backwards against the Dogs, and a lot of credit goes to that Georgia defense, though. They are playing better and better. They continue to get healthier, and man, they are playing lights out right now at an elite level. It's going to be tough for anyone, any offense across the country to play high-level football and move the ball consistently against this Georgia defense. We saw teams do it early in the season. Not anymore. Not the way C.J. Allen is playing. And Chris Cole's getting better, and they're having new guys emerge. And the freshmen aren't necessarily freshmen anymore. But what they did to Alabama, again, the Tide had 12 drives. They punted 7 times, and they're turning it over left and right. And what the key to the game was the stops on first and second down. And you can do that when you stop the run. And when no one's running it on you, you can get into a position where the opponent's got 3rd and 7 just about every time it's 3rd down. And the fact that they weren't even crossing midfield, they had 1 drive that went 70-plus yards. And again, that was due to Georgia's penalties, multiple penalties on that drive, just giving them free yards. And then that led to a touchdown. But if that DeMello Jones personal foul does not happen after the big sack and Kirby reamed into him on the sideline, as he should have, it was a selfish move. If that doesn't happen and DeMello Jones keeps his cool, they're not converting that 3rd and 18, I think is what it would have been. They would have punted. There is a real chance Alabama leaves Mercedes-Benz Stadium with 0 points. It's crazy to say out loud, but that's the reality of what happened. There's no sugarcoating it. Georgia's defense dominated them. 5 3-and-outs. 5 3-and-outs. No one wins like that. No one can move the football or put up any type of points when you're not winning on 1st and 2nd down. You lost the battle in the trenches. You can't run the football. But it's not like that's the only team Georgia's done that to. Georgia Tech is still an offense that is lethal, and Georgia said, "No, dude, no, you're not running it on us. You're not doing anything." Okay, they're playing fast. They are playing just good, sound, collective football. No one's wide open. There are no missed assignments, no missed tackles. Everyone's where they need to be. Everyone is hunting. Everyone's got a nose for the football. Everyone's playing with max effort, sideline to sideline. They're covering. They're attacking the quarterback. They're finding those areas in the trenches where the linebackers can sneak through on the blitzes and the safeties are coming in. They're finding ways to not get caught up in the trenches and they're getting to the quarterback. The constant pressure was all night long against the Tide. Arch Manning was on his back a lot. Haynes King is overplaying the Georgia Bulldogs. He's had enough. No one wants to see this Georgia defense right now. They almost shut out Alabama. That was a real thing. There was for a minute there, I thought it was going to happen. Everyone watching this thought that it was going to happen. It would have been just absolutely rubbing Alabama's face in it. It would have been great to see if you're a Georgia fan after everything that you've seen Georgia do against Alabama, finding the way to have a different type of heartbreaking loss. They almost shut them out, and maybe they do shut someone out real soon. Maybe next year. It shouldn't be in the playoffs because you'd think they're playing an outstanding team, but they almost got the job done against Alabama. Doesn't matter. 28-7, another SEC championship. This team is hunting. They are looking great right now, and the job's not finished according to them. If they win the Sugar Bowl, they'll be happy, but they know that they have a chance to win the whole thing for the third time in 5 years. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. I'll see you over on dawgpost.com.